Hi, and welcome to Max's Aquatics. In this video, we'll be going through the basics of keeping endlers, which are, in my opinion, the best fish that can get you started in the aquarium hobby. Endlers originate from the Paria Peninsula in Venezuela, though some populations have been found on Trinidad and Tobago. Here they inhabit a variety of habitats, from swamps to ponds and even lakes. Here's an example of a wild-type endler compared to a normal endler, which you can buy in any sort of pet store. As you can see, they vary quite a bit. In the wild, endlers are very spread out, which leads to a large amount of colour variations, of which the most beautiful have somehow made their way into the aquarium hobby, as you can see here. When it comes to water parameters, I find that endlers are quite tolerant, unless you have really soft water, in which case you might have to add some crushed coral or a wonder shell to buffer up the pH and make the water hard enough to keep these wonderful fish. Now when it comes to sexing endlers, it's quite easy. For instance, you can see here on the left is the female, who is quite drab in coloration, and on the right is the male, who's normally chasing the female, who's very colourful. As for tank size, in my opinion, you can keep endlers in practically anything, or even stories of people keeping them in toilet bowls, but I would recommend sort of minimum 12-litre aquarium, which this is a 20-litre tank, which I used to breed tetra, so go check out that video if you haven't already. So yeah. As for food, endlers are pretty easy. They'll eat anything, algae from flakes, but don't rely on them to take care of your algae problem. Endlers, in my opinion, are one of the most easiest fish that I've bred. In fact, they're a bit like instant noodles because as soon as you add water, they'll start breeding. But, like with guppies, the breeding frequency depends on the temperature. For example, I don't keep these endlers in a tank with a heater, and they breed once every 2 months. But if you do keep them in a tank with a heater, then you'll probably get a bunch of fry every couple of weeks, maybe 2 to 3 weeks. And endlers are live bearers, so they do give birth to live babies. They don't lay eggs. The eggs are incubated inside the female. And in an average litter, you can expect anywhere from 1 to about 30. Basically, the older the female, the more amount of fry you get, unless it's a very young or a very old female. However, if you really want to maximise your fry yield, I'd give them lots of high quality food like live foods, and also bump up the temperature from 27 to sort of 30-ish, like most farms do, to increase production. Also provide a lot of hiding spaces for the fry, such as big massive plants on top like I do. But even in a completely empty tank with a couple of parents, I'm sure that at least 1 or 2, or maybe all of them even, would get through, because endlers don't actively eat their fry. But hey, it's always nice to have some plants on top. When it comes to tank mates, in my opinion, anything that can fit in a 100-litre tank is okay. So endlers are shrimp safe, and pretty much safe for any nano fish, which they won't outcompete for food. They're safe for pretty much all corridors, coolie loaches, tetras, and most of the smaller killifish. I once did a rainbow fish endler tank, and that worked out really well. They're also safe for plecos, and endlers can also be used as dither fish to encourage other fish to breed, because it gives them the illusion of safety that if other fish are around on top. They're also safe with rainbow sharks, and I'd say that betters are 50-50 cool along with angelfish, because it already depends on the fish's personality. Like if it's a really calm better, I think it should be fine, but if it's aggressive, I wouldn't really want to be the endler. Also, because endlers are so easily bred, they are often bred as feeder fish for large predatory fish, which is a bit controversial, but I think that if the fish won't take anything else, then it's fine. Another bad tank mate for endlers are guppies or even platies, because endlers tend to hybridize with any other live bearer, which can either be really cool or it can be disgusting, such as this is a hybridization between an endler and a guppy, here as well, and here. Basically, an endler is a bit like a Picasso in the way that the colours are more blocky, and a guppy is a bit like a romantic painting where the colours are more stretched and stuff. But here's an endler fry which I found in my tank about a year ago, slightly golden, which can just show you how much variation you can get from just 1 male and 2 females, which I bought about 6 months before I found that fry. And as we have seen, there's also a lot of variation within the species. One tip I would have for you is to add a heater to the tank, just because it makes the fish look so much nicer, even though they do live a bit less, because the more it's heated up, the more life is sped up, which is why farms heat it as a ridiculous amount. I think it's like 30 degrees or something. But hey, a heater is also very good for the plants. And one final tip would be having a good male to female ratio, so just 2 females for 1 male, to stop the females from being chased until they die. So that about brings the video to a close. Don't forget to comment if you've got any questions, and subscribe, because I'm still quite new at this and it would be nice to get some info on what I could do better. Have a nice day.